Have you ever felt like you're betraying yourself? Silently, every single day? Wake up, you perform, you smile when needed, but beneath that smile, something aches. Something unnamed, something hungry. There's a voice inside of you, quiet, but relentless. It whispers that this isn't the life you were meant to live, that you've become a stranger to your own soul. You're surviving, not living. But no one sees that, do they? Not your friends. Not your family. Maybe not even you until the silence gets too loud. You scroll endlessly. You drink just a bit too much. You stay busy. Always busy, ... But you know it's all just distraction, anesthesia, a way to not feel what's been growing inside of you. For years, you say you're fine, but you're not fine. You're functioning. There's a difference. And here's the truth that most never say aloud. You can lose yourself without ever realizing it. And the most terrifying part, most people never come back. But something brought you here, something still breathing inside you. And maybe, ... just maybe, you're ready to stop running. There's something you do every day that drains your strength. Your dignity, your will to fight. You avoid yourself. You silence your own voice, dull your instincts, compromise your truth just to keep the mask in place. You tolerate situations that kill you slowly but politely. You smile through exhaustion, say yes when your entire body screams no, and then wonder why you feel empty, anxious, disconnected. You've built a life around escape through pleasure, through people, through screens, through overworking, overthinking, overeating, over everything. You call it stress. You call it being busy. Down. You know it's avoidance. You've made a routine out of abandoning yourself. We all do it. We stay in relationships that devour us. We pursue goals we don't believe in. We numb the ache with dopamine, hits, likes, purchases, attention, substances. And when it fades, we reach for more. Not because we want more, but because we can't. Bear the silence in between. You've forgotten how to be alone with yourself. Not lonely alone, present, awake. The tragedy is this. What you think is survival might actually be your slowest form of self-destruction, and yet, you justify it. You normalize the bleeding. You say, it's just life. It's just how it is. That's not true. That's resignation disguised as maturity. You were not born to live anesthetized. Every act of compulsive distraction, every time you reach for that drink, that phone, that validation, you are not chasing pleasure. You are running from pain. But here's the catch. Pain doesn't disappear when ignored. It waits. It festers. And one day it owns you. This is not weakness. It's not a moral flaw. It's a wound that was never seen. A scream that no one heard. So you buried it, but now it's asking to be felt, and no substance, no habit. No other person will ever make that ache go away, not because you're broken, but because you're looking for healing in the wrong direction. And until you face that, no amount of motivation, willpower, or discipline will save you. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Read that again. Most of what drives your behavior is not choice. It's not logic. It's not who you truly are. It's the invisible architecture of your psyche, the parts of you you've disowned, rejected, or buried so deep that you forgot they ever existed. That's the shadow, the hidden self. And it's not just some poetic metaphor. It's the part of your mind that holds your rage, your shame, your desire, your vulnerability. Everything you were taught not to feel, not to show, not to be, and yet what you repress doesn't disappear. It just changes form. It becomes addiction, becomes sabotage, becomes the partner you tolerate, the job you hate, the scroll that never ends. It becomes 1,000 little decisions that whisper the same lie. This is all you deserve. Jung knew this wasn't about morality. It was about integration, wholeness. He believed addiction wasn't a flaw, it was a misguided quest for something sacred. The soul trying to return home. So the question isn't, why are you like this? It's what part of you have you abandoned? Addiction doesn't always look like a needle in your arm or a bottle in your hand. Sometimes it looks like perfectionism, like people-pleasing, like compulsive scrolling at 2 a.m., eyes burning, soul numb. Sometimes it wears a suit, sometimes it smiles. Sometimes it wins awards. We have sanitized the idea of addiction into something distant, something that happens to other people. But if you've ever found yourself reaching for anything and anything at all to escape being with yourself, you've touched it. You've tasted that restless hunger. Addiction is not about the substance, it's about the void. It begins where connection ends. It begins where your real self was once denied, shamed, or neglected, often before you had words to name what was happening. Childhood is where the blueprint is laid, not because your parents were evil, but because they were wounded too. It's passed down quietly and visibly, generation after generation. Hey everyone, do you want to grow a little more each day? Subscribe to the channel and learn how to develop your mind, habits, and attitude to become the best version of yourself. Let's get into the video. A child doesn't need to be beaten to be broken, ignored long enough, and they disappear from themselves, so they grow up learning that their needs are too much, that their emotions are dangerous, that to survive they must become smaller, quieter, less real. And in that emptiness, addiction finds fertile ground. Gabor Maté, a physician who spent decades with the most extreme addicts, those abandoned by systems, by families, by society, discovered something striking. Every single person he treated had a story of emotional disconnection. Abuse, yes. Neglect, often. But more than anything, a lack of felt safety, a hunger for presence, and the brain, being the genius that it is, adapts. When love is unsafe, it finds dopamine. When peace is absent, it finds chaos. When connection is broken, it finds control. Not because it's healthy, but because it works. For a while, we romanticize self-discipline, but we forget that discipline without healing becomes just another cage, another mask, another addiction dressed as virtue. You can meditate for 2 hours a day and still be running from yourself. You can fast, hustle, optimize, and still be spiritually starving. Because what you're really craving is not a better version of yourself. It's your real self, the one buried under the weight of roles, wounds, and lies. Carl Jung believed that addiction is a misplaced spiritual longing, a search for God disguised as a thirst for oblivion. Think about that. It's the drink, the drug, the noise. It's not the goal. It's a substitute, counterfeit transcendence. Because even in your destruction, the soul is trying to speak. It wants to expand, to connect, to remember. But when the pain is too loud and the silence is unbearable, you reach for what numbs fastest. Here's the paradox. What numbs you also deepens the wound. You become stuck in a cycle pain.
God.
Escape, shame, repeat. And the more you try to fix it, the more broken you feel. Because deep down, you're not dealing with a habit. You're confronting a void. And no strategy touches the void. Only presence does. But presence is terrifying when you've spent your whole life fleeing. Sitting in stillness feels like suffocating. Because in that stillness, the ghosts return, the child you were, the emotions you buried, the truth you never dared to say. But until you meet them, face them, you will keep outsourcing your power. You'll keep searching for something to save you, something outside, substance, a person, a plan. It never works because the answer isn't out there. It never was. True healing doesn't happen when you control the addiction. It begins when you understand what it was trying to protect you from. The drink was never just about the alcohol. The scrolling was never just about boredom. The sex wasn't just desire. The success wasn't just ambition. It was all armor, all defense, all prayer. Even your worst compulsions came from a place of survival. But you are not here just to survive. You are here to remember what wholeness feels like. To remember that your pain is not proof of your failure, it's proof of your sensitivity, of your aliveness. And if you can feel it, you can heal it. That healing begins not with shame, not with force, but with an act that feels deceptively a simple call in staying. Stay with yourself, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts, because pain is not your enemy. It is the doorway. And that doorway leads back to the place you've spent your entire life trying to find. Home. Ask yourself, what exactly are you running from? Not in theory, not philosophically, in reality. In your daily life, what is the feeling that rises when you're alone in a room with no noise, no screens, no numbing? What is the memory you keep buried under routines and to-do lists? What truth have you silenced just to be accepted? Why do you keep breaking promises to yourself? You say you want change. You say you want peace. But are you willing to face what peace requires? Are you willing to feel what healing demands? Because healing doesn't begin with light, it begins with honesty. The truth is, some of the things you call normal are actually killing you. Some of the people you keep around are feeding your self-doubt. Some of your habits are cages, beautiful, socially acceptable cages. And you've grown so used to the prison that freedom feels foreign. But ask yourself, who would you be without the noise, the distraction, the addiction? What would happen if you stopped numbing and started listening? Not to the world, not to the ego, to you. Because you know. You've always known, and now. It's time to remember the way out is not forward. It's inward, not louder, quieter, not more effort, more presence. You've been told that healing comes through discipline, through control, through fixing yourself. But what if the answer isn't in conquering your demons? What if it's in understanding them? Carl Jung believed that every compulsion, every addiction, every self-destructive pattern is a distorted attempt at something sacred. That behind your worst behavior, there's a soul trying to awaken, not to become perfect, to become whole. So, the real solution is not willpower, it's integration. That begins with silence. Not silence as absence, but silence as confrontation. The kind that strips you of your excuses. The kind that invites the shadow to speak. You sit, you breathe, you let the ache rise, and instead of escaping, you stay. You stay with the fear, with the emptiness, with the rage, and in doing that, something shifts. Because what we repress controls us, but what we face begins to dissolve. Your pain is not a curse, it's a map. And if you follow it, it will not run from it, it will take you straight to the root. And from there, you begin to rebuild. Not who the world told you to be, but who you were before you were wounded. Start by setting limits. Say no more, often not as rejection of others, but as protection of your truth. Reclaim time, reclaim space, reclaim silence. Solitude isn't punishment, it's preparation. Withdraw from the noise long enough to hear your own voice. Long enough to ask, what do I actually want? Who am I when no one is watching? And maybe for the first time, you'll meet yourself, not the edited version. Not the role you play, but the raw, unfiltered, still beating center of your being. This is what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming who you really is. Are beneath conditioning, trauma, and ego. It's not self-improvement. It's self-return, and it's hard. You will lose people. You will lose habits. May even lose the version of yourself you thought you were supposed to be. But what you'd gain in return is freedom, not the kind you post online. The kind you feel in your breath, in your spine, in your decisions. The kind that can sit in silence without shaking. This is not the path of comfort. It's the path of power, not dominance over others. Sovereignty over yourself. There is a silence inside you that you've been avoiding your whole life. But in that silence lives everything you've been searching for. Not outside, not in others, not in success or salvation, in you. Schopenhauer wrote that human life is suspended between pain and boredom. But what he missed is that between them, there's awakening. If you're willing to suffer consciously, to not escape, to stay awake inside your own darkness, you don't just survive, you transform through it, Carl Jung said. No tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. And now you know what that means. To be free is not to be unscarred. It's to walk with your scars exposed and still move forward, still choose truth, still sit alone with the aching in the silence and say, I am here. That's where it begins. That's where it always began. You are not broken. You are divided, and everything you're looking for. Connection, peace, power, purpose is not waiting for you out there. It's waiting for you to come home. If this video helped you in any way, leave a like and share it with someone who needs to hear this too. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so we can keep growing together. See you in the next video. Stay strong on your journey.